All right. And welcome, everybody, to the IU Hoops halftime report as your Indiana Hoosiers currently lead the Minnesota Golden Gophers 32-31 at halftime. Obviously, you walk out of that half feeling like Indiana played pretty well. They're obviously up 32 to 23 there late in the half, and then give up that big run by Minnesota there at the end of the half. So that's a little bit disappointing. But still, I think there was a lot to like from what Indiana did in that first half, all things considered. And when you say all things considered, you don't have Deron Davis. Obviously, we knew about that. We learned before the game that Colin Hartman isn't going to play. And I know they haven't mentioned that on the telecast, but if you listen to Archie Miller's pregame comments, he talked about how Colin is dealing with a shoulder issue. And so he went through warmups, but I think Archie and the staff, they want to hold him out if they can. And so, right now he didn't play in the first half, so I would assume that he's not going to play in this game, but we'll have to see. So without those two guys now, obviously Minnesota also without some guys. They're missing their big guy, Reggie Lynch, who is a force down low, and Amir Coffey, who might be their best all-around player. So this is the second straight game that Indiana is taking on a road opponent that is not exactly at full strength. But, to Indiana's credit, they're going out there and I think for the most part executing the game plan that Archie Miller wants. Archie Miller talked about in the pregame show his two big keys. Number one is you can't let Minnesota get out and play in transition. Now, Indiana has not done a great job of that. Obviously, with 8 turnovers, a turnover percentage of 22%, that's not good, and it's led to some runouts for Minnesota. And obviously, they've gotten some off some missed shots too, and that's where some of their three-pointers have come from. So Indiana's transition defense needs to improve. But the one thing Indiana is doing a really nice job of is they're really controlling the glass. Minnesota entered today as one of the best rebounding teams in the country. So I was just checking that what that link was from. One of the best rebounding teams in the country. This was Archie's other key, and the Hoosiers are doing a nice job. They've rebounded 85% of Minnesota's misses. The Golden Gophers only have 3 offensive rebounds. Obviously, Reggie Lynch being out is a part of that, but also Jordan Murphy picking up 2 fouls helped, but in 10 minutes, he didn't grab an offensive rebound. And I think one of the reasons for that is that Juwan Morgan is playing really, really well today. And I think it's pretty clear that Juwan Morgan has been the best player on the floor for the first half. And I think that's what's going to have to happen for Indiana to win games this year. I mean, he's got to be the go-to guy. He's got to control things on both ends. And he really came out to play today. He's got 10 points. He has 7 boards. A couple of them are offensive. He has a steal. He has a few block shots. He's made 2 3-pointers. I mean, we're seeing the full arsenal from Juwan Morgan today. And I think Indiana is really following his lead. And so I think he's obviously been a big part of it. The other thing for Indiana is we're actually hitting some threes, 5 of 9 from downtown. Obviously surprising with Colin Hartman out, but when Juwan knocks down a couple and Justin Smith drains one and Robert Johnson is able to go 2 for 5, that's big. So Minnesota is beating Indiana in terms of 3-pointers as they've hit 7. But, in a lot of games this year, if Indiana's opponent hits 7 3-pointers, Indiana's, not even coming close. So at least they have 5 to kind of bridge that gap. The thing that's surprising is how bad both of these teams are shooting from 2-point percentage. That's been a strength for Indiana. The Hoosiers are only shooting 29% on 2-pointers today. And a lot of reasons for that. Juwan Morgan has missed some shots down low that he typically makes. I think Freddie McSwain has obviously missed a few shots down low. Robert Johnson has missed a few, and maybe he got fouled on a couple of them too. So that has hurt. And look, Minnesota is a good defensive team. Now, not as good without Reggie Lynch in there, but they're still a pretty good defensive team down low. But, overall, I'm happy with that first half. And there were a couple key moments that really stuck out. I thought when it was 24-23, Zach McRoberts forced a bad shot from Isaiah Washington of Minnesota at the end of the shot clock. Newkirk got the rebound, pushed it, found Robert Johnson, who made a 3. That put Indiana up 27-23 and ignited an 8-0 run, which was huge. And I thought probably the best play of the first half was Juwan Morgan got it down low. He missed a shot, but he grabbed one of the toughest rebounds that you will see. I mean, he just wanted it more, went up in between a couple of Minnesota guys, and you'll recall he kicks it out to Robert Johnson. Robert missed the 3. Freddie McSwain grabbed another offensive rebound. Robert shot it again, and made it. And that kind of want to. I think for most of the half, Indiana played with, a quarter step more energy and want to than Minnesota did, and got to some loose balls, got to some rebounds. And that really helped to prevent Minnesota from getting second chances, helped get Indiana some additional second chances. And so that was big. So that put Indiana up 30-23. I believe then Justin Smith got back in, made a bucket. That made it 32-23. And then obviously Minnesota went on their 8-0 run. And the most disappointing sequence there to me was, Freddie McSwain. Well, I mean, there were some disappointing sequences at the end with the, some decision making, but I thought there was a stretch by Freddie McSwain who really had a solid first half in a lot of ways, but he missed a dunk. And it really seemed like that missed dunk affected his energy and his concentration, because he missed basically a layup later on. And then on the next defensive possession down, I don't know if he was tired or sulking or what it was, but he just stood there. And the Minnesota guy got a wide open three-pointer, drained it, and you could see Archie on the sidelines just, out of his mind, upset. And I'm assuming he was upset at Freddie just standing there and not getting out to his man. So I think Freddie, look, 8 rebounds, 5 points. You will take that from him. He even made a 15-point jump shot, filling in for Deron Davis and playing more minutes. That's big, but he's got to be more consistent in there with his energy and can't be giving up wide open three-pointers like that. Obviously, some kudos to Justin Smith for really stepping up. And I thought early on he did a couple of things that we haven't seen much from him this year. Number one, he absorbed some contact and scored. He is not a guy who has gotten fouled much. He is not a guy who has shown that down low he can really take contact and not get off balance. But I thought he did that. And then he also drained that three-pointer. And so really big to see. I was happy that Archie put him back in there with 2 fouls late. That's not something Archie likes to do. And it's obviously a big, point of contention that I have with him. And probably, Indiana's shorter bench forced his hand a little bit today, but I'm glad he did it. Kudos to Justin for not picking up another foul. So again, I think a solid first half, all things considered. This game is there for the taking. But look, we are 1 game removed from Indiana being up 3 at halftime and then laying a total egg in the second half. So, hopefully the team doesn't relax. Hopefully the coaches don't relax. As fans, we obviously can't relax because the momentum there at the end of the first half wasn't positive. So it's going to be interesting to see if this team has it all learned the obvious lesson to be learned from that last game, which is that you're on another team's home floor. They didn't play great in the first half. They will probably come out and execute better in the second half. They're going to have Jordan Murphy for probably more minutes. So Indiana's got to come out and raise their level too. And that means Juwan Morgan has to continue playing like the best player. Robert Johnson needs to tighten up his handle, tighten up his decision-making, and keep making shots. And guys like Justin Smith and Freddie McSwain are going to have to continue to make plays for this Indiana team. And if they do, a win is there for the taking. And if they don't, this is going to be the second straight loss for Indiana on the road in the Big Ten. So hopefully the Hoosiers do that, and we'll have a nice, pleasant post-game show to discuss, or game to discuss on the post-game show afterwards. I hope you will join me. Andy will be there. Ryan will be there. The Assembly Call IU post-game show. Join us at assemblycall.com or subscribe to us right here on YouTube. Let's go Hoosiers. Let's go get a win here in the second half. Thanks for joining me, everybody, on the Halftime Report.